Brilliant.
Hi, Winning Women. This is our Winning Women expert interview of the week with Emma Nicholls, who's in France. And I first met Emma, I think it was back in about 2018 when I was running an event called the Essex Business Women's Experience. And she was this lady who had a business called Your Red Dress. And Emma got in touch with me to inquire about exhibiting, didn't you?
Yeah.
And we spoke. We didn't actually meet. But the next time I heard from Emma, she contacted me from France. And of course, I went and stalked her. And there was her cooking a duck pie for some guests. And with these beautiful sunflowers, obviously having moved herself to the south of France. And we've done a little bit of work together since, haven't we? And we've caught up. And I just wanted to share with her, because for me, if someone has made that big a transition from Essex, stressed out corporate, to running her own retreat, Airbnb in France with her 2 doggies and a cat, that to me is doing it. I must share with you ladies, because for so many of us to be able to get that vision in place now and start putting those baby steps in, so we can really manifest the life that we want going forward. It's just, oh my goodness, that's what we live for, isn't it? That's what Winning Women's all about. So Emma, tell us about you. What got you there? How long did it take you to get there? And what's life like?
So I'll start with how long did it take me to get here. Hello, everybody. I probably started dreaming about making an escape from corporate life in around 2013, actually. But it took me a couple of years to be brave enough to make it. And there were some things that happened during that time whilst I was in the organisation and I always say to people, sometimes the root cause of the problem that you're facing is not actually the organisation, but the root cause is you've changed, you've grown, you've developed. So maybe the culture is not right for you, or maybe the long hours don't suit you anymore. There's all that kind of stuff going on. So I actually was standing on Southend East train station in November, and it was raining and it was cold. And the train pulled up and all these people sort of pushed past me. People I used to see every morning, because I used to get the same train every morning. It was a 7:12 or something like that. And nobody ever said hello to anybody. And I was as guilty as that, because I never said hello to anybody anyway. And I got on the train and all the windows were steamed up and everybody was sort of grumpy. And I just kind of had that moment. I was cold. I thought, I do not want to do this anymore. And that was kind of the moment I decided that I wanted to escape. Initially, it was really escaping from the long hours, the commute, some sort of personal challenges I had around my health, and thinking, if I carry on doing these long hours and this crazy commute, I'm not going to be, living a very long life. So there were some sort of fundamental things that I decided to do that. So actually what I did do was I took a local job for about 10 months, actually at Southend Hospital. And because I thought that would be the solution to me escaping. It certainly removed the commute, which was really good. But I was still in probably a world that had more policies, obviously, and more bureaucracy than I was before. So it didn't actually really solve the root cause. But I didn't really know that at the time. Mm-hmm. And then I stayed at Southend Hospital for about 10 months. And whilst I was there, I went part-time. And then I started to develop my own business, which was Your Red Dress, which helped women to progress in their careers. And in between all of that time, before I moved to France in 2019, I was doing Your Red Dress, and I used to do a bit of interim work. I used to do projects for clients. So I became much more of what people call it a portfolio career, don't they? So it became much more of a portfolio career. And in the summer of 2018, I'd always loved France. I've got some friends who live here. And I went to visit them one summer. I then met my partner. And we started then doing a backwards and forwards thing between UK and France, from Toulouse and Southend. So it was Stansted to Toulouse every other weekend. And I then decided, I've also got some other friends that live in this region, that I really wanted to come to France. I didn't move to where he is. I moved about an hour and a half away from where he is, with the vision of running a business from France. So that's the kind of the story, Rosemary.
Fantastic. And so tell us about your business that you're running.
So when I arrived, I bought an established bed and breakfast, or chambre d'hôte, as they call it here. And this was when I think about it, this was really a crazy thing to do, but I did it. So I arrived sort of, I think, the 3rd or 2nd week in July, and 5 days after arriving, I had done loads of backwards and forwards with the previous owners, the people I'd bought the house from, who were also experienced chambre d'hôte proprietors. And they gave me loads and loads of tips. I'm so grateful to them. And I had guests arriving. We'd opened it up. They were already booked in. So 5 days from arriving in France, I had guests to welcome, and everything was fine. We got good ratings. And it was a very steep learning curve. You know, even things like, how do I fold the towels? How do you clean the bathroom properly? And I've got a very good friend who taught me how to clean the toilet properly. So yeah, it was what do you serve for people for breakfast? How do you ask people what time they want breakfast in French? Because I had like schoolgirl French, but I got by, and then ran that for the summer. Then carried on doing a bit of contract work and a red dress work. And then obviously the pandemic happened. And actually during the pandemic, I decided to go back to the UK to do some contract work and carry on doing the sort of your red dress work. And the 17th of March, we knew that France was going to lock down. And I was sitting in a flat that I was renting in very close to Southend Station. And I just got onto the Ryanair site. And I booked the last flight. I took the last flight home. I booked the last flight out of Stansted to Toulouse. And actually, I haven't been back to the UK since. And that was last March the 17th, 2020.
How interesting.
Yeah. So obviously last year was quiet. Yeah.
Forced you to make the break, didn't it?
Yeah. So I've developed the retreat business. And I am also now I call myself, escape the rat race coach. So I've got development programs or transformation programs that help people who are like me, maybe frustrated by something or want to escape something in corporate life, to find a way to escape. That's what I do.
Fantastic. So if somebody's watching now thinking that, what would you recommend as a first step? Something they could do right here, right now, to sort of get flowing, if you like.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. We'll talk about visioning in a minute. I think one thing is if you're in a frustrating situation, or something about your current role that you don't like or you wish you could change, perhaps you've got, perhaps there's a toxic relationship, somebody's difficult or a difficult situation. I think it's helpful to do a bit of thinking and write down all your frustrations in a list, and then do some root cause analysis on them, because some things we can change right now. We might not think we can change them, but there's a mindset around that. So, as an example, there may be somebody that you have a difficult relationship with at work, or you find it difficult to manage. Maybe you've got a bit of imposter about something. So writing all their frustrations down, and some of them will be big frustrations, like for me, the commute, or perhaps the organizational culture, some things that were out of my span of control to change a lot, unless I moved to London, and I didn't have the money to do that. So, but some of them you can fix right now. So look at the list and do the kind of, well, why do I feel frustrated about that? And then I like the sort of the root cause analysis. Well, why do I feel like that? And why, and why, and why? And then how could I fix it? So that would be the first thing, just get all the frustrations down on the table. Because I think in retrospect, I was always going to leave, because I know now why I was so frustrated by things. I think some of the things I could have dealt with and managed better at the time when I was feeling frustrated. And when I say I know now, I use a career drivers questionnaire. We probably, a lot of us have done career driver stuff when we left school, or it was a bit different. And the two highest career drivers for me were creativity and autonomy.
Mm.
And that says a lot when you think about working in a very traditional corporate role with a lot of policies and bureaucracy. That would be, I would describe that as being the root cause of my reasons for needing to escape. But I didn't know that at the time. So that can be quite transformational for people to realise that.
Right. So
and then also, sorry, Rosemary.
Right, I was going to say some delving, and of course it's all well and good leaving one situation for another, but you take yourself with you, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, and if we're the root cause of the challenge, which we usually are, aren't we? Then
yes.
How we reacting to that situation. If we haven't examined that at all, then we just transfer ourselves straight into the next situation with the same challenges, don't we?
Yeah. And I think the other big thing, and it's I did a poll on LinkedIn earlier in the week around, what's the biggest reason for people not taking the step to escape something more fundamental. And of course, money is the biggest challenge. And I actually was talking to someone about the other day, and it's sometimes it's a trade-off. And you and I have done some work together about money mindset, money mastery, and the sort of things that I liked about, my profile money is I like the celebrity bit. But actually, in a rural village in France, there's no point being a celebrity because everybody sort of wears, farming clothes, so it's no point. But and that again really helped me, because I think I made big trade-offs about money to get to where I am now and have a better quality of life. So it's thinking about what the trade-offs you can make.
Brilliant. And of course, for you also, that celebrity archetype in your branding is also about allowing yourself to be seen. Because if you keep yourself as a secret in your little place in France, your clients are never going to find you. So with the joys of social media and even things like my International Winning Women group, you can come in and keep in touch with people who could be your potential clients 1 or 2 years' time, couldn't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we sow seeds, don't we? It's literally like those beautiful sunflowers behind you. We pop a seed in the ground and it'll only germinate when it's ready and the conditions are right. And then I remember hearing a beautiful analogy from Derek Rydell about a bamboo. It's a certain type, I think it's Chinese bamboo. And when the seed's planted, it spends 10 years putting down a root system before it even comes upwards.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of us doing that, and I'm convinced there's a lot of people right now, you, me included, who've been doing a lot of development work for a very, very long time, and now's the time for us to come into our own and serve the people we came here to serve.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing, which is I'm extremely grateful for, is that I left the big corporate job I had in 2015, was 6 years ago. And it's the power of networking. So, kind of a big thing for me was, even if we're angry or upset about something that's happened, it's always really important that we remain, sort of positive with people, because I've gone back to people 6 years later and said, oh, what do you think of this? Or could you have a look at this for me? Or is this a good idea? And they are senior corporate leaders, but it's like, what do you think of this business idea? I'm maybe not selling to them if I'm, as clients, but I'm certainly looking for their insights. And I can't tell you how incredible it is that people will take time out of their day and have a 1 hour Zoom call with me, or give me advice, which is just fantastic. So that would be another thing. It's about nurture, and a bit like sunflowers, nurture your sunflowers, water your sunflowers. But someone said to me the other day, which is, I love this analogy, even sunflowers have to grow through dirt. So there are always challenges on the way. I've had some particularly interesting ones, but I've always remained positive that I know that I had this vision and I'm living it, and I wouldn't want to change anything today.
Wonderful. So let's talk about the vision.
Yeah.
Did you have a vision, and how strong was your vision? When did you create that vision? Or what did you do to feed that vision?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I was always addicted to those, place in the sun type thing, TV shows. In fact, I can get them here, so I still watch them, even though I've got a place in the sun. So I used to dream a lot of having a property or a place that was in somewhere with a lot of space. But I couldn't quite put my finger on where it was. And also running some sort of business. And I used to have, crazy ideas. I was going to have a, market stall. I was going to do this, but they were always to do with me in a business in somewhere beautiful. And the vision, this is another epiphany moment perhaps, but I was lying on a lilo or airbed in a river at my friend's French house, a bit further north from here. And that was in the 2018. I thought, that's it, I'm coming here. And these, I was going to say dandelions, but butterflies and dragonflies were landing on my skin whilst I was lying on this airbed as I was drifting down this river. And the water was warm, it was beautiful, and I could see the mountains and I could hear the birds, and there was nobody else really around. And I thought, then I went into sort of a bit more of a state of mindfulness and reflection. I thought, right, this is where I want to be, not this particular river perhaps, but somewhere like this. And then that was the vision, and then how to move from the vision to it took about 10 months. It seems like it doesn't seem very long time.
No, it doesn't.
Because it's determination and planning, and I was free because I was doing interim roles then and some Your Red Dress work. So I didn't have the 3-month notice period. I'd kind of set myself up to be able to be free when I wanted to be able to be free. Of course, I didn't really have enough money to do all this, but that was we'll talk about that. But that was the moment I decided, right, I'm determined to do this, and I will do this, and I will find a way to make it happen.
Fantastic. And something I encourage people to do is to tap into that vision every day, get into the feeling of it. Yeah. Is that something you did?
Yeah, I mean, I did some work on visioning, and one of the things I now encourage people to do is to really start first with a positive mindset. So an exercise you can do is to close your eyes and tilt your head back and make sure your feet are firmly on the floor and your body is kind of relaxed. And then I love this, so I do this, try to do this every day. It's think of the happiest time in your life, whatever the happiest time in your life was. And what I always found, that a big smile will start to, as I'm thinking quietly, a big smile starts to appear on my face, and I can't stop that. Mm-hmm. And I'm helping my mind to get into receiving, positivity. And I'll do that for 5 minutes, just quietly. And I'm sort of listening to what happened. I always say, try to feel all of the emotions. So try to see what was happening in that happiest time of your life, and try to hear it and try to feel it and try to smell it. And then try the visioning exercise where we close our eyes again, we tilt our heads back, and then just let your mind go to wherever it takes you. And sometimes our mind will put all these blockers in the way. It's like, if you imagine it, if you're a very visual person like I am, somebody standing in front of the sunflower, or, the people are saying, you can't do that, you haven't got enough money, you can't do that, you've got this problem or that problem. And we just have to try and go through that, walk through those, go through those constraints or those barriers. Imagine as if they weren't there. Okay, they actually might be there, but imagine that they're not. And that really helped me to kind of create that sort of positive determination to get to where I wanted to go.
Brilliant. I've been listening to Dr. Joe Dispenza a lot recently, and he talks about this all the time, every day going to that place and as you say, feeling the feelings. And when you were saying about the negative popping up, I almost had a vision of you getting out like a bald cloth that you'd use on a whiteboard and just wiping that person out.
That's an excellent sort of, for me, that's a really good visual. Yeah, I like that.
And even if you have to scrub them a bit, because I know when I used to do this, and I used to try and open my heart center, this was about 5 or 10 years ago, and I just couldn't. It was like it was stuck shut. And there was something in me that just did not want to open my heart. And now it's just dong, there, because I've been practicing it. And also the more you vision that, the more that puts those literally creates a new neural pathway in your brain, doesn't it? So so when anything comes up that's a property comes up, or a program, or a book, that your little reticular activating system in your brain, that matchmaker, will straight away see it, won't it, and draw it to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then something else I was told was to actually physicalize that, have a book and write them down, so you've got them out of your brain into the
book. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I certainly drew. I know some people do we do magazines or cut pictures out. For me, it's about drawing, and there's a nice exercise where you can draw very simply. You can draw where you are now. If you like coloured pens, draw a picture of where you are now, and then you draw a picture of where you want to be, and then just keep that in your notebook. And obviously that picture might change. You might add things. I always added things to my picture. But that can be a really useful thing to do as well.
Wonderful. So what are the lessons you've learned that you could pass on to someone who's thinking of the same thing, so they maybe don't have those challenges as much, or can spot them quicker?
Yeah, I think definitely starting with the vision, and then creating, almost like you would with a business plan, but creating a strategy which could be baby steps at first. I mean, if I think if I hadn't gone to the hospital, and I hadn't gone part-time, and I hadn't then set up a business as well as working in a sort of senior job at the hospital, and then so there were things that happened that, and I didn't know why they were happening at the time, but I can see now that whether it was deliberate or not, it led the way to where I am today. So I think it's about thinking, if you're trying to escape from a difficult situation at work, it's then go back to the root cause. But if it's more of I actually want to go and run my own business, or I want to do something completely different, come to somewhere, abroad and run a retreat or something like that. It's what steps could you do, which might seem, I've got this picture somewhere, I actually haven't got it to show, but it's got, what people think success looks like, and it's a straight line going up, but actually what success looks like, it's like that, it's kind of a wobbly line that goes all over the place. And then it's, what's your definition of success as well, isn't it, Rosemary?
Oh, it is, and that's a challenging one. I think we've been, I don't know about you, but for me, I always thought success was money and savings and pensions and all those kind of things. But you can choose to feel success right here, right now, can't you? By
absolutely.
Anything.
I mean, I was walking the dogs down the lane, and it's always a bit nerve-wracking if I go out sort of at dusk, because there's wild boar around here who used to dig up my garden, but I've put a fence up now, so they can't do that. So it's one of the challenges you face when you go and do something completely different. And the farmer went past me in his car, because they go backwards and forwards in their cars to get to the tractors. And I've known this farmer for 2 years, but he's never stopped to speak to me. And this particular evening, he stopped, and we kind of had a conversation, like a proper conversation in French. Now, that might seem like a small thing, but for me, that was a big success. So, as you say, the definition of success is different. And I told my partner, who is French, about this, and he said, "You still need to practice more." I was like, yeah, but he understood me. And around here, they've got quite strong dialect. So the fact that we could have a conversation about the fields and what he was doing with his maize crop was a real success for me.
Brilliant. Well done, well done. Yeah, languages don't necessarily come naturally to anyone, do they?
No, they certainly do not. No.
So tell us about what you're doing with your clients, the people who are coming to work with you, and also it is a retreat that you have, isn't it? I know you run it as a B&B as well at certain times of year, but if somebody comes to you, can people book a retreat to come anytime, or is it certain times of year?
Yeah. I mean, it's probably now because the weather, we're very close to the mountains, so we do have. I mean, you can go skiing for an hour and a quarter. There's a beautiful spa as well that's close by, up in the mountains. So the best time really year to come here is either October, which is now, or then it starts to get quite wintry. Unless you like skiing, it's I am in the middle of the countryside, so there's quite a lot of rain as well. And then from May it starts to they plant the sunflowers, everything, all the little markets get going, the fetes, etc., etc. So definitely from next May I'll be hosting retreats here. It's a small property, so I can really only host 3 or 4 people maximum. And actually, what people have told me is they really like that, especially with the pandemic, because it gives them a feeling of security. And I am their host, whether they want to come for 3 or 4 or 5 days. We'll go to markets. I've got a guy that comes in to do Tai Chi. A new lady has just arrived who's running a yoga practice, so she's also on my list now to introduce to retreats. Silent walks in the forest. Really, it's just a complete, I'd like to say, shutdown. I do have Wi-Fi here, but I really try to encourage people here to switch off and sit by the pool, jump in the hot tub. It's ladies only, and just chillax, as we say. And we'll go to markets, we'll go to local restaurants, go for wanders around beautiful lakes, and I'm smiling as I say it because
Sounds peaceful.
Yeah.
And at the same time they can work on their vision with you.
So that's an important part. So every day we'll have a coaching, I call it a coaching sort of transformational session. So that might be a walk around a lake, it might be sitting by the pool, chatting through their vision and their plan. Obviously, if I've got a group, then we'll have some group discussions and group mentoring. That's all part of that. I mean, I wanted to build the retreat so that they would be able to have a lot of options, that people could almost choose what they wanted to do when they were here. So I am their guide and their hostess, and I will look after them and make sure that they don't get lost in France and they have a wonderful time, but also get a chance to escape. We don't want a really hectic schedule where we're off doing things all the time. It's just really a chance to sort of sit and relax and reflect. And I will take them through exercises and practices that we can do whilst they're here. So,
and in addition to that, they can do it's an online program you're offering?
No, well, I am at the moment. I am offering it's called the Sunflower Personal Growth System, and it's a 4-month, quite intense program that takes women from creating their aims grid, developing their vision, working out who sits around their sort of networking table that's going to help them. So it takes them all the way from the start of an escape plan to creating an escape plan, and then working out how they're going to execute it. And I'll support them through that by fortnightly coaching sessions. And I've brought in some experts to help me with that program as well. One is a psychologist, and one I hope will be you as well, Rosemary, with your to do your sort of money work. So that's the plan. So it's quite intensive, but it will get people who are perhaps struggling to know what to do next, stuck, to find a path to tranquility. And tranquility can mean anything. Tranquility could even mean finding a different role with a different organization that fits them better culturally, or allows them to have more work-life balance, or lets them have Fridays off. There's all kinds of ways to escape something.
Brilliant. Yes, and we've really explored that in the last couple of years, haven't we? So many more options are open, aren't they now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. Brilliant. Anything else you'd like to add? Sounds wonderful. We'll come and see you soon.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's fantastic to live here actually. I've actually been here now for more than a whole year, so I've seen all the seasons. So I'm not so scared of winter this year that I was last year, because I was thinking, because we did have a very strict lockdown, but it's amazing what we've all coped with extreme adversity over the last 18 months. So yeah.
And how do people find you?
So, I mean, the best way to find me is obviously I'm in the Winning Women group. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. I've got also Your Escape to Tranquility Facebook group. I very invite any women who want to join that to join. It is ladies only. And also my email is Emma at, now hopefully if you think of the picture, you'll remember this, Emma at thesunflowersystem.com.
Brilliant. And your website?
That's work in progress. That's on my list of things
it?
to do. Yes, it is. I've got someone working on that right where I've just developed all the content. So yeah.
Lovely. Well, we'll add all your details on YouTube and on Facebook as well, so people can find them. But please add them in the chat afterwards.
Yeah, I will do.
And
Thank
I'll
you, Rosemary.
pop them in too, and we'll put them on YouTube as well. So lovely. Thank you so much. I'm really excited. I should be able to come over to see you as soon as I can.
Yes, you must.
Lovely. I think you're in Southend in a couple of weeks, aren't you? So we shall meet.
I am at the moment. We'll see if anything changes with the old travel. They keep changing their mind about the travel restrictions, so we'll see. But I am looking forward very much to coming home and seeing all my friends and my family. Yeah. So
wonderful. Wonderful. Lovely. Well, thank you so much. I'm really excited to see what you're creating and what you'll be helping other people to create. So lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rosemary. You're welcome. Thanks, everybody. Bye.